Hey folks, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. About 1:25 a.m. Usually I go to bed about 2 a.m. something like that. There's always another email to reply to, something that has to be written. So there's lots of writing, lots of web searching and browsing and doing stuff, and I don't know, I just never get in time. I don't know, I guess I'm still used to going to bed very late. Yeah, so I want to do this video because probably won't have time tomorrow. Things I've been getting quite a bit of email about moving to Argentina, which is kind of funny because I've done for many years a website that's called Surviving in Argentina, explaining all the bad things about Argentina, which, you know, it is a great country and all, in spite of the many problems that it has. But I mean, man, if there's someone that's probably disencouraging people from moving to Argentina, that would be me. Unfortunately, because of the nature of the kind of things that I cover, especially since I've written so much about the economic collapse in Argentina, how tough life is over there, even now, so many years later. But every once in a while someone emails me about, you know what, I'm thinking about moving to Argentina. You think it's a good idea? I don't know if they're kidding or not. The thing is this, there's some people, there's a guy from, an American guy, a guy from US citizen, that bought some land in a very poor province in Argentina, a poor province called Salta, which is in the northwest, dry territory, mostly desert. And this person bought land over there, developed it, and is selling houses for $200-300 a pop. And you know, it's understandable, common sense and such. And well, this person owns a company that owns another company that looks kind of like a financial advice corporation or institution or something like that, and it kind of he interviews himself through one of his companies, and in that interview, that looks like, you know, like a normal interview, when it's actually more like advertising disguised as financial advice. The guy recommends, what would he recommend? Of course, moving to Argentina, to his to the houses that he has for sale. That's all fine and good. I mean, I'm okay with anyone making a buck or whatever. It kind of gets tricky when you see it so clearly that some of the advice being given is not in the best interest of some of the people that, you know, some guys really don't have tons of money, and you know, it's not easy for some of you folks who put down $200,000-300,000 in a house that's probably not worth half of that, and it's probably one of the most stupid mistakes you could possibly make. I've written about it. I've written about why you don't want to move to Argentina or in general South America. This is what my second book that I'm still not done with, and I'm not going to be done with it until I'm completely happy with it, is about relocating and such, and bugging out. And I explain there basically all this, that generally speaking, South America is not the best option, especially for someone from US or someone from Europe or someone from some other first world country. It is a cultural shock no matter where you go. It is a much worse cultural shock going from a first world nation, my phone over there, to a third world one. You're just not used to that. Even less a guy born, raised in US, moving to Argentina in general, big shock. Some people really like Buenos Aires, and they like, you know, I suppose same guys that like Ecuador or like Colombia or like Latin countries in general, because they have a thing for Latin culture. Now, even making that even worse, going to a very poor province like Salta where there's really nothing. I mean, that's the kind of place where a guy like this would go, because you buy a chunk of the province, you know, thousands of acres for pennies, because no one wants it for anything. It's in the middle of nowhere, thousands of miles away from the capital of the poor country, already in a bad position, it's really not recommended. And it kind of breaks my heart when some of you folks ask, you know, I've been struggling a lot. I've been broke recently, but I'm coming up with the money, and I'm about to buy in Argentina because this guy who seems to be very honest is recommending it. You know, I really cannot stand there and do nothing and just pretend I'm not getting those kind of messages, because first of all, I am getting them, and I'd like to reply to you folks. And then, you know, it just crushes me to think that someone would make such a huge mistake, putting all of the money he has or she has that probably worked his ass off to get, and losing it, and just for some guy to make a little bit more profit. I don't think it's cool. It's going to any Latin country in general, as I was saying before, is a huge difference. There's so many things that you take for granted in first world countries that you will just not have in third world ones. One of the arguments that I see being made is that, well, you're going to be moving to this poor South American country where you'll have lots of freedom because it's so corrupt and so collapsed and such a mess that no one cares about anything. That's a huge lie. That's the only way of describing it. There's no country as freakishly controlling everything as Argentina right now. They are looking into your bank accounts. They're looking into where you go, why, what is it that you're going. You're getting the IRS up your behind just for buying a big screen TV, like it happened during the Football World Cup, or because you're sending your kid to a private school. Everything that you do is control. And this idea of a corrupt country being better because there's you're going to be able to do whatever it is you want, that's really not how it works out. It's actually the other way around. They're going to be able to do anything they want with you precisely because they're so freakishly corrupt and they don't care about anything. And there's basically no rule of law defending your rights, especially as an American citizen that isn't even an Argentine citizen. So it's even worse for you folks if you do that. In terms of the way you handle your money, getting the money into the country is practically impossible, even less so getting it out of the country. You know, it's a country that's just borderline Venezuela. Would you move to Venezuela, and would you have lived under the thumb of Chavez in Venezuela when he was alive? Probably not. Well, basically the same thing in Argentina. Making matters worse, moving to a very poor province in the middle of nowhere that happens to be in the desert, so I don't see any wisdom there in terms of being it a wise survival strategy of any kind. So huge no, don't. I mean, it really makes no sense. The thing that I see making more sense is maybe relocating within US if whatever it is you are, it's not fulfilling your expectations for one reason or another. That's understandable. There's other countries that are fantastic if you choose to leave for whatever reason, and many of these I'm going to be discussing in my book. Some places in Europe, a couple places in Europe. You have Australia is also pretty good. New Zealand is good. Canada is just across the border and it's very close. These are all things that I've talked about in previous videos, but I see in all these emails, and there's obviously a demand for this sort of stuff, so it's a good thing that I'm having a book soon enough covering all this stuff. Just be wise about that. Whenever you're about to make a big decision like that, think about who's really benefiting from it. You know, what's in play, what is the other person's intentions. I have websites. I have my website. There's stuff I do, like I show gear review and such, and I do make a small margin of profit with the stuff that gets sold through Amazon. And am I going to be compromising in any of the things that I believe in, or are I going to be lying to you guys or lying to myself for that? No, honestly, no. I have my book also available on Amazon, and people like it. The reviews are already there and such. And do I have a certain angle? Am I benefiting from forcing a decision upon you? You know, honestly, no. But it is good that people have that distrust. It's good to be distrustful in general. In this case, you should do that as well. This guy wants me to move to Argentina or Colombia or Panama or whatever the hell it is. You know, maybe if he's the guy selling the property to me, is he the right person to advise me on what is better for me to do? If he's gonna be making $50,000, $100,000 on my decision, you know, that's the kind of distrust that it's pretty healthy. So, guys, to answer those of you that have been asking about relocating to Argentina, no, honestly, no, because of all these reasons, especially not to a poor province within a poor, messed up country. Even you could maybe make a case for Buenos Aires, some of the nicer parts of Buenos Aires where the rich people of Argentina actually live. You know, in the Nordelta, for example, is a good place within Argentina. If you know, there's a reason why I left Argentina myself. I was already there. If it was such a great place, I would have stayed there myself. That's obvious enough. And I've seen, I think it was this particular person that found out about me and obviously didn't like me saying the things that I say. That person said in some sort of interview that this crazy survivalist left because he's so poor that he couldn't live in Argentina. Dude, if you cannot live in Argentina, you cannot certainly live in Europe where I live. So it's not a matter of money. Actually, if it was a matter of money, which for me, there's other things more important in life than money, I would still be in Argentina, where I have everything there, my family there. It would have been so much easier to stay there if it weren't for the fact that it's a collapsed country, that it's a complete mess, that it's getting worse every year. You're talking about a president about to change the constitution for indefinite re-elections. The inflation is out of control. The crime, which is my biggest, the thing that ruined life for me the most, because with that kind of crime, you basically have no freedom. People with money in Argentina live in golden cages. They live in gated communities and in buildings with huge security. All these places are nothing more than golden cages. Very similar to what you see people in South Africa do. You have gated communities where that's where you're safe. And you get out of there and you're not safe anymore. And you have to live in fear. And if you're a happy-go-lucky kind of guy that doesn't live in fear, you know, it's so bad that eventually you're gonna be getting hit. And if it's not you, it's your family, it's your kids. I've seen all this crap all my life. I don't need anyone. I especially don't need a guy coming from another country looking to make a few bucks explaining me my own country. That's, you know, that's kind of ridiculous. But you know, for all these reasons, it is really not a great idea. Especially not Salta. I think that, you know, of all the places, that the only reason I can think of why someone would invest money there and build there is because of how cheap it is. Because it's obviously better to be in Buenos Aires, even if you're kind of looking at it from the natural beauty or natural resources angle. Then you would go to Patagonia in the south, not in the northwest, where there's just desert and borders with crappy countries where there's lots of illegal trading, and there's a huge problem with the drug lords over there. I mean, awful choice. Other than the fact that it's very, very cheap to buy there and build and, you know, sell to guys that are a little bit more naive. Really no sense whatsoever in putting yourself in Salta. No one in Argentina with half a brain would do that. Just someone that really doesn't know much about what's happening over there would do it. And if in doubt, you know, go there, see it for yourself. I think that it's a huge shock. There's very few people that I know that are okay with moving from first world to third world status and being okay with that. You have to be a very weird, crazy kind of hippie guy that loves that kind of thing. If not, it is just going to be so many of the things you take for granted in first world countries just doesn't exist in third world countries, let alone in poor provinces within third world countries. That's kind of where it's going. Guys, kind of late here, almost 20 minutes to post so now. And just that, the book, my second book about relocating and bugging out, certainly it's going to be helping you out with all these things. In general, folks, for you guys living in US, you're already in the best place you could possibly be. Does that mean that you shouldn't make any plans just in case you have to leave? I think that no matter where it is that you are, you should at least have some plans laid out. The more you develop them, the better. And God forbid if you ever have to leave that place. And this is where I always go back to my reference of learning from historic events. If we look at history, there's always a possibility of, no matter how great the place you are is in, how great it is, there's always a possibility of eventually something going wrong and you having to leave. There's always a possibility of that. I don't think that any well set up preparedness plan is well rounded without that possibility being envisioned and at least some plan done. The little or much that you do so as to get that sorted out, the better. Bugging in is always the best alternative until it's not an option anymore. When it's not anymore, then you have to find somewhere else. But again, I wouldn't leave US myself. I think that maybe relocating within US is a good idea. In this book I'm gonna be giving some of the states that I was considering myself when looking at relocating within US. Some of the states that present the best advantages, which I'm sure are gonna be different from some of the states recommended by other people that look at all this in a different manner. I look at this in a very common sense way. I don't look at it in terms of, well, I'm not going to be biased towards one place because there's more fish in ponds compared to somewhere else. Going to be looking at it in a more realistic, practical way. What is it that life in general is for you guys and myself, and what it is, which state presents the best odds of not only survival but a happy, well-lived life in general. I'm not, well, those of you guys that have been following my channel for some time and my website know that I'm not about that. I'm not about running from society, hiding in a cave or in a bunker and waiting for the end of the world. The end of the world, guys, can wait for forever. It's not gonna come, sorry for that. And just making realistic plannings for the things that you already see happening in the world. The world is already pretty interesting as it is, and things are already complicated as they are. There's no need to make them even more complicated with fantasies and things that have really no connection with reality. Fantasies and zombies and all that stuff, it's all great and fantastic for having fun. When it comes to real world preparedness, it has nothing to do with it. So guys, that's all for now. Have a great day. See you on our next video. Take care.